Good evening and welcome to the Essex Selectboard meeting on Monday, August 24th, 2026. It is my pleasure to welcome you and hereby call this meeting to order. Please, if you're in the room, silence your cell phones. For those of you online, your mics will be muted as well as your camera turned off until you are called upon by the chair. We do this out of a concern for safety as well as we've had some bad actors in the past, but please raise your hand and we will call on you during the public comment portions of the meeting. Please also note that the chat has been turned off for similar reasons. With that, let's jump to it. Staff, are there any agenda additions or changes?
None from staff.
Board members, any changes or additions to the agenda? Not seeing any. We don't need to approve the agenda. We'll jump right into public to be heard. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forth and speak about what's on their mind, be it not items on the agenda, but things that are consent agenda or something not on the agenda. Please note there's a few rules we ask you to follow. Please be civil. Please be brief. As a general rule, any comments longer than a few minutes represent a need for a deeper conversation, either through email, a meeting, or being on a future agenda. Please refrain from side conversations. Please be respectful of staff and those speaking. Please direct any comments to the chair, and when you are called upon by the chair, please state your name and where you reside. With that, we'll start within the room. Is there anyone in the room that'd like to come forth during public comment? Not seeing any hands. We'll look online. I do not see any hands, but I just want to make sure, staff, is that correct? Okay, then we will jump right into the next item of business. Ethan.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meg. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. That'll bring us to business item 6A. Is Stephanie Mack on?
Don't see her online.
Okay. Oh, there she is. Stephanie, just in time.
I need to sit up front or
Yes, Stephanie, we just got to the
Actually,
first
okay.
business item. So you'll come
Sorry.
forth for an interview to talk
Did it
about.
not start at 6:30?
We did.
Okay, it's, wow, you guys are right on it. All right.
We moved quick today.
So,
Thank you for joining us.
You are welcome.
I know you've watched many of these, but this is an opportunity for you to introduce yourself and tell us why you're applying for 2 seats, I believe, one for the Economic Development Commission as well as for the Housing Commission.
okay, I think they both follow along the same lines. But number one, I'm a small business owner, so I'm very familiar with what it takes for businesses to get into business, stay in business, and I've helped through my career of 10 years in doing accounting and small business management and taxes, what it takes financially for those businesses to make it, as well as the predicament that Essex seems to be in now that we have, limited resources. We've separated from the city, so we're going to have to cushion our tax dollars with more industry. We can't just keep relying on this kind of spend and pray method. We have to bring in money into our local area, and what are those things that we should be doing in order to foster that so we can mitigate the amount of money that taxpayers have to pay as residents. That's kind of my premise in both avenues of both seats that I was looking for. And they were still available on the board when I went there. I was like, oh, great, perfect, right up my alley. So that's what I was looking at doing. And I enjoy small business. I enjoy startups. I enjoy making sure that we're, promoting them and helping them through different small business networking opportunities. I was a member of BNI for a long time, and so I know, business networking works really well for small businesses and how to help them promote that and how to do that internally with the EDC and the other position.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you applying.
Thanks.
I'll turn it to the board members for some questions for you. Meg.
So you talked a lot about kind of your interest in and experience with small businesses for the Economic Development Committee. You were also interested in the Housing Commission.
Yes.
Can you tell me kind of what your interest is? In that
Sure.
one?
So the Housing Commission, having done a lot of rental properties, done a lot of Airbnbs, done renovation and flipping, which is what my husband does. Also, looking at the kind of the different puzzle pieces that are coming together, kind of running for candidacy also, and looking at all the parts that are in play. I think that we should have a more multifaceted approach to helping both housing development and employment in the state. And I've sort of, just on my own volition, worked up a program called Double Up Vermont, and I just see the opportunity to try to keep youth in our area. I have friends who call me and are talking, and they're like, I cannot find a, heavy equipment operator, and they're struggling to keep their jobs on task because they can't find the different people to fill the positions. So I think in general with housing and with looking at employment, how do we keep people that can help in the trades industry here and employed and housed. I see leasing agencies. I actually work part-time for one of them, and I see how many units they have for rent. So we might have a individual home problem in our state, but we certainly don't have a lack of housing in the sense that there's a lot of units for rent. But how do we get people into them and be able to stay in them at a price point that works in their pocket? So those are the things that I find interesting to work on, and it's like puzzle pieces, like putting it together. But we could be offering tax incentives for business owners who employ youth that are coming into needing a job, and then how can we help leasing agents and rental agencies rent out those apartments in an equitable way, maybe employing like Job Corps or bringing them into the fold. Like it's just a multifaceted approach in order to make it work. And I think that Essex is a great town, and I think we could work on those projects in a way that would lower our tax dollars, but also increase our employed folks and maximize the housing that we have available.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
All set, Mike?
I mean, I have another question, but
If you'd like to.
yeah. I'm curious what maybe top priority might be for either of the commissions, and or what challenges you might anticipate.
Well, after looking at the list that the EDC had the other day, it certainly can't, walk in and just be like, I think top priority needs, you got to kind of look at what's already been laid out, what's already in progress, and really work from that schedule. Could there be a few changes? Maybe, but you certainly don't want to come in and, wipe the slate clean on a lot of work that's already been done. Because and I don't know what a lot of those things are yet. I'm just got the document and just looking through them all. There's quite a number of items on their hit list. And I haven't really seen the agenda or like what's on the program for the other position. So I have to kind of wait and see where they're at. And, if there's any opportunity to interject some of those thoughts, that would be great. But I think sometimes those kind of things take a little bit of time too, because there's already things in the works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Additional questions? Ethan?
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Have you attended either the Housing Commission or the EDC?
Yeah, I went to the EDC on the first Thursday of the month and went to that meeting and
Awesome.
and got the lowdown on what they were doing and met the folks. And I haven't been to sorry, what was the title?
Housing Commission. I was actually just gonna ask staff because I think they changed their day and time, right? Or no?
So, do you know the details?
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second now.
No worries. And then my second question for you is, when I was reading your applications, and maybe it's just my assumption, but it seemed like you were really passionate about the housing. And I know you have a lot of knowledge in small business, but do you feel like one or more is more important to you?
I I don't know, I guess I kind of find them both equally interesting and important. I mean, small business is what I've done for 10 years. Housing seems to be the big issue with the state. So I don't really know which one. I mean, I think I could probably put my interest toward either. I know that we have opportunities like in Essex in our development of our community and making the town, Essex town area more of a town instead of just a drive-through or drive-by street, and what possibilities we could be doing there, as well as what could we be doing to bring in more industry. So for me, they overlap in my brain, so I kind
Right.
of don't see them too differently.
Awesome.
That's why.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First Wednesday of the month at 6.
First Wednesday of the month at 6.
Mm-hmm. Usually here.
Kendall?
I noticed in your housing application that you mentioned specifically under personal aspirations that we are trying to see a development. Could,
Yeah.
is
My
that more of
husband
a?
and I own land in Essex,
Okay.
and about a year, I don't know, year and a half or two ago, he approached the town just to see what their options were in what would the town like to see in that area, and like a development that has kind of like shops underneath, sort of rental above, but then also to meet the needs of new homeowners and starting out homeowners, like condos that you could sell individually. It's just, the question is just, there comes to mind is like, what could we be doing in that walking district to make it more of a town feel, kind of expanding on what Essex Experience is doing with trying to bring more business in and the redevelopment of all that land and making shops underneath and then housing above, and trying to emulate that a bit more and expand that area of the town and bring in more business that could bring in more tax dollars to supplement our taxes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Andy?
Stephanie, this is a question I ask everybody who comes to interview. How would you describe what the word community means to you?
I think it's being involved, looking at all the different aspects of what's going on in a community, in a town, not just one thing. I guess the word multifaceted comes to mind because it's not just one department that makes a community, it's all the departments of the town. And it's a wide gamut. I mean, you have folks that are beginning in the community, and then you have folks working in the community, you have folks retiring in the community, so it's that gamut that incorporates everyone into it, as well as people volunteering. So here I am.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you stepping up and volunteering. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I've watched your meetings online and, pay attention.
You're very
as I
active. We
can.
see you
Yeah,
on there a lot,
I
and we appreciate that.
try to watch and eat and feed kids and, keep it all under wraps, but, yeah.
Great. Well, with your application being kind of two-pronged, unless I hear a motion from the board, I think what we'll do is we'll talk after this meeting, and then the staff will be in touch with you to tell you what was decided.
Okay, great. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to business item 6B, consider approval to authorize town manager to execute the contract for engineering services for infrastructure of new municipal complex at 8090 Upper Main Street. Greg?
So as you're all well aware, the town had received a Northern Borders Regional Commission grant to support infrastructure design at Upper Main Street, where the town is looking to put in a new municipal complex. The project for the infrastructure design would be looking to come in at $1.5 million or less. We recently put out an RFQ for firms that would charge us for their qualifications to do that work. We received 6 responses, all of which were good qualified engineering firms locally. We had an interview team that brought in 3 of those firms to interview, and we are recommending that we move ahead with Stantec. That's the same company that had done the work for the conceptual plan master design. We also thought they stood out as the best qualified. They had brought some passion, they were enthusiastic about the project, and so they are the recommended firm from staff. Happy to take any questions about that.
Thank you. Thank you to the staff for all the work you've done on this. Board members, other questions for Greg and Karen? Kendall?
I guess I'll start it. The only question I had through the entire thing is that it says clearly in a number of places, the final conceptual plan, the adopted conceptual plan, move ahead with the adopted conceptual final plan. And I think I've been pretty clear all along that there should be some opportunity in the future to relook at some of the things in that final conceptual plan and make changes. Can you just explain to me where in the RFQ that is addressed specifically?
The ability to make changes, or?
Yeah, the ability, because the way I read it, they're going to take what the plan is and they're going to design it exactly as that plan based on everything that's in the plan. I was under the impression that we were going to leave it pretty open for future changes to that plan, so.
I'll let Karen chime in if I misspeak here or if she wants to add anything, but the way I look at it, I think the way we looked at it in the RFQ is that we're designing the infrastructure. So the roadway, the stormwater, the sidewalks, the things associated with the conceptual master plan, those are pretty set.
Okay.
Might there be a little tweak or something as we get into the ground and start looking at things? Perhaps. I think more of the potential changes to conceptual master plan will be what's the size of the fire station? What's the footprint of the town hall? How many stories will the library be? Stuff like that. But as far as the lots that we're looking to develop for municipal reasons, the lots that we would look for public-private partnerships, those are pretty much set, and the infrastructure design will be following that conceptual master plan.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
I just wanted to make sure that that was pretty clear through this, because it just kind of reads like we're just going to do the whole entire plan. So the infrastructure is required whether the fire station is big or small or whatever. So I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Ethan?
I just have an idea to throw out to the board, but I would like to put some sort of language in the approval of this where any money that gets taken from the water sewer reserve fund is returned once the grant match is returned, because we do have to spend the money in advance. So we're gonna spend $1.5 million of our money. We're gonna get $500,000 back. I know it was, I can't remember exactly the table. Does it show it here? It doesn't show the spending. Yeah, right there, 452,400. So in my mind, I would like the wording to be written that if we go ahead with this and we take the 452,400 from the water sewer reserve fund, when we get the $500,000 back in reimbursement, we put that money back in the water sewer reserve fund. If anybody else thinks that's a good idea, I would join you in supporting me in that.
I think that's a very well-spoken idea. Greg, and Karen, what is the timing for when the grant money would come in?
If
Roughly,
I can,
please.
so the reimbursement aspect of it is correct. We have to spend the money to get the money back. Usually they ask for reimbursement requests sort of every 6 months or so. So our progress at that point would be requested for reimbursement. We hadn't yet talked about how to do that reimbursement. The thinking at this point would be as invoices come in, they're split water, sewer, municipal capital fund until we can't split it that way anymore because there's a larger contribution from water, sewer. So it wouldn't be the only first funding source, but certainly we could prioritize replacing those funds instead of splitting them when we get them back, if you're following me. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Ethan, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that essentially in my mind, the capital money that's set aside for the project will be spent, and then you're using water sewer money, so you put that water sewer money back, and next year if you want more money in the envelope, you take a fund balance or capital and you put more in the envelope. Don't take the grant money and short, because if you return the 243,000 to capital, you're only going to have 200,000 back to water sewer, so you're stripped $250,000 from the water sewer emergency reserve fund. So it's just a concern of mine. Our fund is very minimally funded for the aging infrastructure we have. You know, we're due to run out of money by 2030. Is that correct? Unless we've changed anything. I think that was the last presentation that we had on there. The $3 million will be exhausted by 2030 with this. Aaron had presented it when we went over this. I can get those numbers and bring them back to the next meeting. But that was Kendall was at $3.3 million was all that was left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty low. And the money was already allotted in projects for the next 5 years. So just concern of mine, would really like to see that fund go untouched, as that is a user-based, supported account. So.
Thank you. Mike, is that a?
I have a question for staff about, so I know we are using money from the water sewer fund. Ethan mentioned projects outlined using some of that reserve funding. Is this included in that?
Yeah, would you like to see the water sewer capital fund?
Yeah.
That's where that
Can we pull it up?
information
There's
lives.
two different. There's an emergency fund and then there's a capital plan.
And this is pulling from the
Emergency
reserves.
reserve. The emergency reserve, it just doesn't
Right.
say the word emergency down there.
So let me see if I can zoom in without losing
Yeah.
detail here. The red on the left indicates the municipal complex.
Right.
You can see
Yeah.
how expenditures are
Yeah, I'm not-
programmed over the next couple of project years.
Mhm.
And so I think what Ethan and Kendall are referencing is this table at the bottom that begins with a fund balance of 3.3 and ends with a fund balance of 900. I think what I'd offer at the time of the discussion here is that we don't count grants or other things that are likely to materialize to affect that number to be conservative. Certainly it's a reduction, absolutely. We've got a lot of spending to do in that area, but that was part of that conversation as well.
Very good question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scroll it that far.
Ethan.
Is the 452 in there? I'm not seeing it.
It's the 200 plus
broken
the
out.
152
Okay.
plus the
Right.
100.
Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, sorry. I heard you say the red. I just could not put my eyes on it. I see it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting
Thank
up,
you.
Karen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kendall?
It's my understanding, though, that you're undergoing a water and sewer rate study currently, and I expect staff will probably have a pretty robust plan to build some of your capital back up for the projects coming up.
I think so. You've been
Yes.
more involved with me. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's, whenever that does come forward, I'm guessing there will be a recognition we need capital money. Whereas right now we are just asking for operating funds and hoping to find some reserve to put away. So yeah, I think that'll be a component.
That will be very important.
Any last questions from the board? Not seeing any, I'll move to public comment. Hands in the room for public comment. Ms. Mack, you want to come forward?
Sure, I'll come forward. I just was wondering, when any large project like this, like when leasing companies have to do a large project, and forgive me because I'm not fully educated on how this all transpired, and I know that you guys bought the land up there, but I'm not really familiar with the sequence of events that led up to this, but what are your revenue sources for this project?
Greg, do you want to give a quick overview of that?
Sure. So the land was purchased with ARPA money. That was the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, basically COVID relief money. Was what we used to purchase the property for about $3 million. We also used that ARPA money to hire the consultant to do the conceptual plan, the master plan, and the public engagement to that point. At this point, we have received the $500,000 grant from Northern Borders Regional Commission. And we've identified the other $1 million or so that we'll need to fully unlock that NPRC match. After that, we're getting into the phase where we're going to have to provide some additional funding sources, whether that's grants, bonds. There's a local option tax on the ballot for November. That could be a potential source of revenue, but we're getting into that phase where we're going to
as the infrastructure design progresses, look at the other sources of revenue and the timeline for which building gets proposed when. Very high likelihood that there would be votes going to the public at some point to support some of these things, especially a bond vote.
If I
oh,
could
please.
also offer, there are, I think, 3 to 4 lots that are anticipated to be used for housing.
Okay.
So I've been working with the project team to provide the board estimates of the value of those lots at different places in the progress of the project. So we can have some ability to discuss, does it make more sense to wait and sell later and hope for a higher price, or lock someone in at a lower price? So there's the sale of the lots that are up there, as well as the sale of the town buildings that would no longer be necessary. For example, this property is one that the town would likely look to sell.
Okay, it's not owned by the Junction. The town
Nope.
owns this.
The Junction has right of first refusal. I believe it's at market rate. I'd
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
that makes
double check
sense.
those agreements. It's been a while. I don't know if you remember.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to know the different sources. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Not seeing any other hands in the room. We'll go to online. Not seeing any hands online. We'll bring it back to the board. Andy?
Make the motion that the select board authorize the town manager to finalize and execute a contract with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for public infrastructure design at 80 and 90 Upper Main Street, not to exceed $1.5 million, with a priority to use reimbursement funds to refill the water sewer reserve fund.
Thank you, Andy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ethan. Final discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. That will bring us to business item 6C, discussion about budget goals for fiscal year 2028. Greg?
So, believe it or not, staff is getting ready to roll up our sleeves and dive into the fiscal '28 budget. As part of that process, each year we look to the select board to give some guidance. Are there any high-level goals you'd like us to pursue? Anything you'd like us to consider as we work on the budget that'll be presented to you by mid to late November? That could be a projected tax rate increase, a budget increase, certain services or programs that you want us to consider. But really just a time for you to start to talk about what you'd like to see in fiscal year '28.
Thank you, Greg. Looking forward to a healthy budget season. Board members, I'll let you all go first, and then I'll jump in at the end. Andy, I know in the memo we had kind of a synopsis of yours that you had sent in. Do you have anything to add? Great. Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Just from, my experience on the board and seeing what the market's doing right now, I know it's still early and we don't have exact numbers on insurance and all that, but I mean, my only goal this year is hopeful that we can keep it under 5%. So I would like to see 3. I know that 3 is probably not realistic this year, so we're gonna have to, in my mind, work really hard to keep it under 5%. So.
Just for clarification, you're talking projected tax rate increase, budget itself?
Projected
Both?
tax rate increase in budget. I know they're a little bit off from each other, but they're
Mhm.
usually close enough where that 0.26 isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Okay.
actually that might be quite a bit different this year because of the reappraisal. That gap might be larger now in the two.
Yeah, good point. We'll have to
We'll have to look
work
at
with
that.
finance on
yeah.
that. Yeah. It's still a grand list.
But
to
whichever
go.
one's less.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else? I don't know.
No. In all seriousness, I had a couple similar thoughts to Andy. I really want to harp on public safety for do we need to put some money there to look at? I know we've had the conversation about the animal control thing, and then I share some thoughts with Kendall on public works. So all in all, some good ideas, and I did get a sneak peek at some of the fire numbers, so I'm really happy with what's going on there, and I think we have a lot of good things to look forward to. So
Excellent. Kendall, Meg, your thoughts? Kendall?
I'm thinking.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, Andy had a really nice, robust list. You know, one of the things we've talked about, and I think it's already on the list for this year and potentially next year, is some rec evaluation and benchmarking study of a domed pool. I also, one of the things I'd love to see us just think about is evaluation of external agencies to reduce open headcount and like vacancy times and pricing some of that stuff out. But I agree. I mean, I think keeping up with inflation, if we could come under that, would be kind of my main goal. As far as any increases that come.
While you gather your thoughts, Kendall, I'll just jump in. Building off what Ethan said, my number was hoping that it could be under 4%. Obviously, last year I know that you really impressed us by keeping it at 2.5%, and that was appreciated by all. But especially right now, when everyone is feeling, strains on their wallet, whether you're buying diapers or your gasoline or whatever it is, every single thing at the grocery store is up, and I recognize that. That also means that everything the town is buying to run the town is up as well. So anything we can do to relieve that, we should look for creative solutions. I also think, also going off what Ethan said, for the fire, if there's an opportunity to look for similar things we do at the police station, possibly, looking at for leadership covering both, fire departments or things like that, creative solutions. Obviously I don't want to say, we're merging back with the junction at all. I'm just saying that there's opportunities in these like communities to share resources like we do with the police station, like we do with the assessor's office. Again, creative solutions are what I'd like to see us explore. And above all, I think safe staffing. Kendall?
Yeah, I would just reiterate that. I think there's a big opportunity with the fire and the EMS to really look at the way that all works between the Essex Rescue and our fire and the city's fire. I think that really, it's time to look at that. As far as an increase, I think 3 to 4% is probably where we'll be somewhere this year. And I've been very pleased to see all of the additional contracting that the Public Works has done. I think there's a lot more opportunities there for both them and the parks guys. Everything looks really good this year. So that's pretty much it. We got a new salt shed. Lots of improvement. Great. I have noticed though, I'll bring it up. Every time I get the warrants, I look at all of the costs that we have for those printers all over the place. It just seems like there should be something that we could figure out differently so that we didn't have that large bill for the printers every month. So that would be a section I would look at in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other hands for the board, we'll open it for public comment. Seeing no hands in the room, we'll go for public comment online. Seeing no hands online, I'll bring it back to the board. Greg.
Just a few comments about the schedule. Department heads will be working on their budgets in September. You should have a poll in your inboxes right now. If you haven't filled that out yet, please take a look. We're trying to finalize the day for the all-day budget workshop in the first or second week of December. Working backwards from there, we will get the manager's budget out before Thanksgiving, probably around November 20th time frame, hopefully sooner. But just wanted to put it on your radar to check your email if you haven't, so we can get that budget day locked in for December.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. We'll move on to business item 6D, discussion and possible action about process for extending a select board meeting past 11 p.m. Greg and Karen, do you want to introduce this?
Just a brief introduction from staff. It was a topic that came up at your last meeting, something Kendall had brought up wanting to talk about. So put it on the agenda, put it on the agenda to discuss tonight. Included the rules and regulations for orderly conduct of business. That is where the language is about getting the unanimous approval to go beyond 11 o'clock. Happy to try to answer any questions, but I think this is really a topic that the select board wanted to discuss.
Great. Kendall, you want to start us off?
Well, I was just curious that the rules and regulations, it has literally one sentence in there that says it has to be a unanimous vote of the board. So, I mean, to me, respecting everybody, people have things that they have to do. Some people might have to leave halfway through a meeting, or some people can't attend a meeting, or some people might have a certain time frame. But there's also business that has to be done. So I would like to understand from a historical perspective of where the unanimous vote like that came, because I would think a lot of boards would just say that it's 11 o'clock and we need to do more business, and if somebody had to leave, they would leave and the board would still continue. Because if I leave, the board doesn't have to stop its work, right? It's still unanimous if it's 4. So I was just looking for a little clarity as to his
Andy?
Used to be midnight. And it's unanimous because if you haven't completed the business and a single member has to leave, that the thought was to give that individual the right to say, I want to participate in this discussion, but I can't continue, I can't be here. We have had instances in the past where the extension of the meeting was approved unanimously and an individual left anyway.
Oh, okay.
You can approve extension of the meeting, but then as long as there's still quorum, the meeting can continue. So that has happened as well.
Okay.
But if it's a business item that you absolutely want to be part of, then you have the right to say, no, we can't continue.
Okay.
So that's my understanding of why it's that way.
Okay.
It is a little awkward that a single member can kill a discussion, but that's the way it's set up. Yep.
I'll get to you in 1 second. I just want to build off of that. Were you here? I know it's been updated a half dozen times in the notes on different things. Was that a discussion that put this in place when you were on the board, or?
The midnight ruling was there before I joined,
Okay.
and the words were exactly this, that the unanimous decision was
But it's always been unanimous.
I should also say that to be totally transparent, is the meeting start time used to be 7:30 when the end time was midnight. So the amount of time is still the same. It's been shifted because we've shifted the meeting start earlier. It was 7:30 for a long time, then it moved to 7, then when we were struggling with having enough time to do meetings with the
Merger, yeah.
the separation/merger, it went to 6:30. Which then we decided to pull in the
Sure.
extension time at that point, yeah.
Well, thank you for the history. I appreciate that. I was trying to find it, and it's not easy to find.
Yeah, no. So I truly actually don't know the origin, the original origin of that one-line sentence in the policy.
Meg,
I wasn't here for it. Yeah,
sorry. Please, are you finished? Meg?
Sorry, just to clarify, I mean, should we kill a meeting at 11, anything left on the agenda would just move to the next meeting, correct?
Correct.
Theoretically correct.
Okay.
There's some times where if there's like a legal decision or a grant that has to be applied for, or a deadline that we have to meet, something like a grant application, I would tell staff to just go ahead, apply. We can always rescind an application.
Okay.
If it's a legal matter, I would try to raise my hand and say, this is really important. Can I keep one of the items that's left on the agenda? I'll tell you in executive session or whatever it's going to be. But if it's not an absolutely emergent, pressing thing, yes, it would get pushed out to the next meeting.
Okay.
Just building off that, and I'll get to you, Andy. when Greg and I and Ethan meet on Thursdays, Greg has always shared that he kind of sets the agenda up to make sure that people that are coming to interview are up front, or guests from the departments kind of fill. And a lot of times, some very important things are in the end. And then the way we've always, maybe not always, the way we've run it as long as I've been on the board is that anytime you go into executive, it seems to be at the end of the meeting. Doesn't have to be that way. There are opportunities we could get up and leave and come back and different things, but it's just the way that the town has done it, at least when I've been in the town. I'm sure, Andy, if I'm incorrect, please keep me honest. Great, I did see your hand.
The other thing I was going to add is we could schedule an additional meeting.
A special meeting.
Doesn't
Right.
have to be 2 weeks later or whenever the next previously we could schedule
Okay.
an additional meeting.
Ethan?
My only comment was going to be that, 4.5 hours, 2 meetings a month, 12 months a year. That's the average. That's the average. It averages out to, right? So if you do up the hours that you're here, if the business or the flow of the business, and I have full faith in any future chair and the current chair to be able to stop a meeting at 10 o'clock and say, hey, we have the really important item that town manager brought to us and we need to, or the town manager can interject, and say we need to get this item done. Like, I have full faith in the board. The part, and I'm speak about it because I was the one frustrated with it. The part that gets me is that if there is so much on the board that has to be done, and there's something in the second or third item that's not going to be any action taken on it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we spend an hour and a half on that topic, and then you want to do 6 other things that have to be done this week, that becomes a prioritization. I don't know the right word I'm trying to say, but error for me is that we didn't prioritize our time to be useful with our time. So one of the things that I brought as a goal for me this year is to help make our meetings flow better, or look at items that absolutely have to be completed, or look at timelines on things. And it seems to be, I know it's middle of summer, so it's kind of quiet time, but it seems to be
This is a great example.
working. Right.
This short agenda is perfect.
Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with and I do share, what Andy had brought up, and I don't believe that any business should be done beyond the board. If I know a lot of us have different, everybody, we don't know anybody's background, so everybody could have a different work schedule or a different. So I just feel like it's hard to encourage the community to volunteer, and then also on the other turn make it normal to serve until midnight every night and make it 5.5 hour meeting. So I'm just somewhere in between of, I like the unanimous vote. I think that if something is important that the person thinks that they really need to be in the conversation for, they should have the right to vote no and stop it. And I think also if they are okay with the board continuing on, to Andy's point before, vote yes and head out. But as far as changing anything, I wouldn't want to change anything other than, I'd honestly like to see the start time at 6 o'clock. But I know that's even harder on schedules, right? So it's really a hard line of what works. So.
Kendall?
Well, I would just add 2 things, is that we do have the opportunity to start the meeting earlier in special cases, right? I mean, if there's a long agenda specifically that has a lot of items that need to be done, we could start early, right, with notice. Is that an option? We could
Adjust it. It would be a special meeting, so it would be outside of the normal schedule that you set back in April. So we would call it a special meeting starting at an earlier start time, even if it's on the same day. Alternatively, you could, as a board, decide to start your meetings sooner. The typical time to do that is at the beginning of the year, the beginning of when the new board takes seat in April. I don't think there's anything to prevent you from adjusting it now if you wanted to do a different start time.
We just would need to check the room. This is our only room. There was a community justice center meeting in here till I think 5:30 today.
I also, question on that, what is our contract with Free Speech TV? or town meeting TV?
They cover 3 meetings a month for us as a town. They
Doesn't
do
matter
the
the
2
start?
select board meetings and 1 DRB meeting.
Okay. But it doesn't matter if we started at 6:30 or 6?
We'd probably have to make them aware, but I think that they would probably adjust, yeah.
Ethan, was your hand going up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it was just banging in my head, but I just wanna say, quite a few of our committees have gone to 6 o'clock. Like, quite a few of them. I was happy to hear the housing commission went from 8 AM to 6 PM, cause that's awesome. It's easier to get volunteers. But I think planning is 6. What else meets at night?
CTC?
CTC,
Energy,
Energy
DRB.
6 o'clock. Is DRB 6 too?
I can't
Are they
remember if they're
6:30
6 or
now?
6:30, I don't remember.
Yeah, energy's at 7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Sorry.
No, I mean, if I can just jump in, obviously, I do take my responsibilities, chair, as serious as possible, and at the same point, I also think that public comment is extremely important. So even when I don't seem to be in the room and nobody in line, I do think it's important that there was at least an opportunity for public comments to happen, and those are things I really don't think we can control over how long they speak. I know that we all get our packets Friday afternoon. We look through them the weekend. Andy's very good at sending emails through, asking many of the questions that otherwise I think would be here to the staff and getting answers beforehand, and then asking the remaining questions or additional questions or whatever it is. But we can be aware of the time as a team as well, and I think that that's important. But it's also, we're going into budget season, which is always, a very, can be at long nights and different things like that. So I'm glad we've had a summer with some shorter meetings. We've also had issues in town that we've never really had extensive 2-hour dog hearings, and we've talked about possibly doing those as special meetings in the future. So it is my hope that we can keep these without needing an extension, but if we wanted to play it on the safe side, we could bump it up to 6 if that was something we wanted to do. I'm not opposed to that, but it is our decision what we feel like doing here. Andy?
Personally, I like 6:30.
I gotta agree with Andy. I like 6:30. It works better for my schedule personally.
I like the idea of an extra half an hour, but I hope that I don't need it the rest of this term. So,
Same.
But again, if there is, like was suggested, if there is a significant list of things that we need to accomplish, I'm fine with a special meeting starting early with a lot of notice to people, because
Sure.
I'm, everyone's accustomed to select board 6:30.
as we saw tonight, I want to make sure
Yeah.
we don't change things up in the public too much.
Thank you for the discussion. I mostly just wanted to understand a little bit more about the policy.
Meg, I saw your hand. I don't want to.
Yeah, I just a question, and I don't know if we've done things like this before, and there's a reason we could we include public comment on items that are on the business agenda instead of each individual agenda item taking public comment? Like everything that is either on the agenda or not comes in public comment at the top. I don't know if that would help or not. I'm pretty sure the school board does it that way, but I don't know if it's also in Robert's Rules of Order that we do it specifically this way.
Ethan, is there your hand?
Yeah, I don't know about the rules part of it, but I was just gonna talk a little bit about like me in my experience with learning public service in Essex as a young adult. But one of the things that was very frustrating for me was attending meetings where the business is happening and the discussion's happening and you're learning and processing with the board and not being able to share your thoughts. So I really respect the select board, and I know I'm actually almost certain it's not a protected. The public comment can be put anywhere in the meeting, right? You don't have to take them on every item. Legally,
I think legally you're correct. I think.
But for the
Right.
moral part of it, like I love that because we're having this big conversation. Sometimes we change our minds, our thoughts change, the way we think about things change. So the thing here is before the board makes a vote, they get to hear from the community.
Yeah.
So that gives the community a chance to inflict some of their thoughts in our decision making. So I really like that.
Ed?
And I think I might be saying the same thing that Ethan did. I think it's fair to allow the public to comment on what we've said during our discussion.
That's fair. Yeah. I was gonna say, because it doesn't necessarily take away the public's ability to comment on a particular business item that we discussed, but I think that's a fair point, right? They haven't necessarily had a chance to hear our feedback on something to provide maybe a different opinion. So that's fine. It was just a suggestion.
No, thank you
That's
for
all.
raising it.
Yeah.
Any further comments or discussion?
As a public comment?
Yes, public comment in the room. Stephanie, please come forward.
It doesn't
Oh,
hurt-
Stephanie, just,
Microphone, yeah.
and if you could just say your name into the mic.
So, Stephanie Mack, I was just listening to the discussion, but I do like the ability to comment or have the opportunity to comment after you guys have talked, because we may not have known all the points, and you guys bring up all the points on each comment, topic. But it doesn't hurt to say like business items and just say public comment after each business item. Please limit your time to, and to try to facilitate a timely response. I wouldn't have no problem if it's like public comment limited to 2 minutes or whatever. That makes sense. Some realistic time frame wouldn't hurt to have it on the agenda.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I offer input from open meeting law?
Please.
So the public has to have a reasonable opportunity to express their opinion about matters considered by the public body during the meeting. So they don't have to have every item, but post-board deliberation, at some point you need to invite public comment. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Thank you. Ethan?
Just a clarification on that. In the way that's written, the board can do all the business, make all the votes, and then hear the comment, right? Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way it was done at some of the meetings that I attended. The board deliberated, made all of their votes, and then said, here's public comment. And we all were like, are you kidding me? What do you want to comment on? You already did it.
That's fair. I'm going to go to public comment.
Yeah.
Further. Ken?
Ken Signorello, Essex resident, and I've had some experience on this matter. And are you not hearing me? Sorry, I'll speak up a little louder. So from the committee you served on, where I was the chairperson, this is a matter of, and what we're talking about here is your meeting deadline and how you can extend it or not extend it. The product of a committee is decisions. That is what you do. Discussions that do not lead to a decision are not productive. Questions about presented information certainly make sense. This item is a great example. I think 20 minutes have gone by so far. There is no proposal on the table. So what I tell my committee members is, come with a proposal. Make a motion so that discussions will lead to that decision being made. Remembering that a motion can be amended or tabled or voted on. It doesn't have to be that you're set in stone once a motion is made. So if somebody feels as though a change to the policy should be made, I would suggest that rather than voicing opinion after opinion after opinion, which is good to hear, but it should be heard in the context of a decision. A motion should be on the table. That's how I try to keep my meetings moving along. When somebody begins offering an opinion, I will ask them, is that a motion? Because that will then lead to our product, a decision. That's the way I try to handle it. And I'll remind you of one other thing. The idea that a person could say, extend the meeting and then leave, that's a great idea. But I'll just remind you that a majority of the committee, a simple majority of the committee, can adjourn at any time. So if 3 members feel as though time to go home, a motion is made, there's a second, and then there's a vote. You're done. So you can control your meeting. It's not as though you're stuck in stone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I see a hand online. Cheryl Van Epps.
Van Epps. I just wanted to agree with Karen and say that for engagement and participation of the public, it is good to include us in the discussion after the board gets their turn. And also to what would you call it, facilitate buy-in from the public. It's good to have that engagement and participation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Sharon Zukowski?
I agree with everyone else, and suggestion that the board decide, when they have a long meeting, to limit the time in the beginning, because I've been to meetings where someone speaks on one topic for like 5-10 minutes, and then the board decides, okay, you're all limited to a minute. So I think maybe start from the beginning, because it is really tough on you all when if every member of the public is going to speak for 10 minutes, you're going to be here till 2 in the morning. So I appreciate your having this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Not seeing any other hands online, we'll bring it back to the board. From what I understood, there wasn't any other motions that I didn't hear. Then let's move forward. There are executive session items on here. The first is correlated with the item A, so we will not bring that forward. I do want to give opportunity for the town to comment on the last 2 items of the agenda. So we'll start with F. Consider approval of bonus for the town manager for achievement of fiscal year 2026 goals and objectives. This will also be discussed in executive session, but there's public input that would like to be brought forth. I welcome that now. Greg.
Just a brief overview of that. Yep, thanks. So part of my contract each year is an opportunity for me in the first quarter of the fiscal year to ask for a bonus based on accomplishment of goals that we agreed upon a year ago, essentially. So basically that's your fiscal year 26 work plan, and I have requested a bonus or consideration of a bonus based on my accomplishment of that.
Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate it. I'll open it for public comment. Seeing no hands in the room, we'll go online. And there are no hands online. So we'll move on to the last item on the agenda. IT contract from a sole source. Greg, do you want to give a quick spiel on this?
Sure. Really quickly, I'll introduce Stephen Rock, who's our new finance finance director since March. I'm sorry, IT director. It's not even late. IT director, Stephen Rock. He'll be joining us in executive session. To say publicly, Steve's been here for almost 6 months now. He's taken a deep dive and look into our network, our infrastructure, our IT needs. Our infrastructure is long overdue for an update. Steve can speak more, just talk a little bit about it. He's gone out and gotten quotes for the different components that we need and the work that needs to be done. There's only one company that does all of that in one package, and so that's going to be the firm that we recommend. And Steve can talk a bit more about the security needs and the standards and what we're looking for as part of that upgrade.
Thank you. Opportunity for public comment? No hands in the room, no hands online. Great, that'll bring us to board member comments and the reading file. Board member comments. Kendall.
I'll just say thank you to Dustin Rousseau for all of his service. I don't think the town really realizes how much experience and the institutional knowledge, if you would, of the town that he takes with him. So thank you for your service.
I'll just jump in real quick, building on that, and thank you to Mr. Rousseau. We are, for Andy's comments a few meetings ago, and he's brought it up a few times, looking at a process to thank all of our members who are, not just when they resign that they get a thank you, that there will be a thorough process so that everyone gets a public thank you to some degree. So we have not just forgotten about your comments, Andy, in whole, so that will be moving forward. Mike?
Along those same lines, same thing, thanking Dustin for his time on the Planning Commission and Dan for his service on the PCAB.
Andy?
And in spite of my comments about only thanking people who resign, I do want to note that Dustin has been on the Planning Commission for 26 years, I believe. So a very, very long service.
Essex will miss him. It sounds like he's moving on. That will bring us to
Actually,
Kendall.
I
Sorry.
do have one other comment. That reminds me, would it be valuable for the staff, and maybe they already do it, to do like an exit interview of some of the volunteers that get done and move on? I mean, maybe guys already do that, but I know sometimes an exit interview can be very illuminating or give you things. So.
Andy, you want
It's been the chair's responsibility to do
to?
that.
Yes. And I'm working with Greg
There you
on doing all those.
We're getting a list to Shannon of all the folks who have resigned in the past year or so.
Okay.
It used to be something the chair would do. We had a set of 3 or 4 questions that were pretty standard, that the chair would offer to anybody who was stepping down, and it was up to them whether or not to take the offer up for the exit interview. So we are Shannon's looking to restart that again.
Ethan.
Are you ready?
Oh,
This is the discussion.
thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to motions for executive session.
I move the select board enter into executive session to discuss the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee in accordance with 1 VSA Section 313A3 to include the town manager and deputy town manager.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Move that the select board make the specific finding that the general public knowledge of contracts would place the town at a substantial disadvantage.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Move that the select board enter into executive session to discuss contracts pursuant to 1 VSA and 313A1A and the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee pursuant to 1 VSA Section 313A3 to include the town manager.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Move that the select board make the specific finding that the general public knowledge of contracts would place the town at substantial disadvantage.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Did we already do that one?
We don't need to do it twice for a different motion?
No, it's all under contracts.
Okay. Well, then I move that the select board enter into executive session to discuss contracts pursuant to 1 VSA and 313A1A and security, cybersecurity, or emergency response measures pursuant to 1 VSA Section 313A10 to include the town manager, deputy town manager, and IT director.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kendall. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We are now in executive, and we will likely be coming back. Town of Essex Selectboard meetings. Board members. Ethan.
I move the select board give the town manager a $5,000 bonus.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meg. All those in favor of giving the town manager a $5,000 bonus, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Ethan.
move. Oh. Sorry. I move the select board appoint Stephanie Mack to a 1-year term on the EDC ending June 30th, 2027.
Can you define EDC real quick?
Economic Development Commission.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Kendall, thank you for the second. All those in favor of appointing Stephanie Mack for the 1-year term on the EDC, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Stephanie. Motion carries 5-0. Ethan.
I move the select board authorize the town manager to execute a sole source contract for the replacement and modernization of the town's critical IT infrastructure with SimQuest.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Meg. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Ethan.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Ethan. Motions to, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Andy. Motions adjourns and non-debatable. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Motion carries 5-0.